That's crazy.
Jerry's like, hey, we'll host them. Shit, yeah, man. I got.
Well, I'll tell you right now,
man.
we'll host them. We'll do them good.
Yeah, we'll do real good.
Do them real good. How about them Cowboys?
How about them Cowboys?
You like them for Super Bowls, don't you? All right, let's go.
Here is Dak Big Ball Prescott walking into Philly and taking down the Eagles, baby. They're going to win by 2 touchdowns.
No shot.
14.
Maybe by a field goal.
Welcome to the Slobberknocker Sports Podcast, your hub for all things sports. Now, here are your hosts, Dylan and Turner.
Dude, the week in NFL was so... Both schedules, that was the worst week of football I've seen in a long time.
In a while.
In college and NFL. It's pretty bad, but at least it's getting chilly outside. We're getting to basketball season. Welcome in to the Slobberknocker Sports Podcast. I think it's our 5th episode.
I think number 5. I think you're right.
Number 5. So we're still here. We're still going, even though a lot of podcasts don't make it past their 3rd episode. We are going to.
Is that true?
I believe so, yeah.
Oh.
I think it's something like 90% of podcasts that make it through the 3rd episode.
Well,
make it through the 5th episode. They end up making it. So, we're getting there.
Well, you people are stuck with us whether you like us or not. We're just going to keep doing it.
We're just going to keep doing it whether one person wants. I like that.
You're just going to keep doing it.
Whether one person
Maybe I'll
wants
say something really stupid one of these days, get put in the national news, and then blow up.
We need to have like a little jar, like a swear jar type deal in here where like anytime any of us said something stupid or anything, we throw $1 in there.
That'd be good.
Yeah, we are going to talk everything in the NFL. I did obviously some recap on the college front, but we'll start with our Sunday standouts in the NFL. And a lot of, even though it wasn't a great slate, we had some like interesting things happen.
Yeah, some fun games. Not high-profile games, but some fun ones.
Yeah, and I think, it's funny, like looking at the schedule at the beginning of the year, you would have thought that Bengals-Niners game was going to be like one of the biggest games of the year, and it was kind of under the radar, mainly because the Niners have lost the last 2 weeks, and the Bengals have, started off the season 1-3. But that said, don't look too quick. But the Bengals are 4-3. Joe Burrow looks like he's back. He was running yesterday. He didn't look injured. Jamar Chase is just uncoverable once again. I don't understand if this is just something that happens to the Bengals where like at the beginning of the year they just are disinterested, but it's happened back-to-back years now. They look dead in the water and all of a sudden out of nowhere. But so we've got Bengals one direction, Niners, 3-game losing streak sliding down. Is this going to continue? What do you think with these two teams?
I don't know. I guess we've talked and touched a little bit on it, but I guess it's a lesson learned that I forgot who was talking about it. I think McAfee was talking about it the other day. It's like, you think you have the NFL figured out, and then, the Niners lose 2 in a row, and this is before they play. It's like, I didn't know if they were going to get beat by anybody, and now it's 3 in a row. Brock Purdy looks like Brock Purdy, the 7th, round pick, Mr. Relevant, last pick of the draft. He's, turning into who I think most people kind of thought he would be. And, I'm not ready to give up on him or anything like that. It's been 3 games, but I think the Bengals have just kind of made a habit of this. They did it last year, doing it this year. They're a really good football team. We touched on it a little bit. Like, why are these guys? They added pieces like they should be better, and they're playing so bad.
I know.
I don't know. I think Jamar Chase is a little bit of a diva, and I think when things start going right for them, things are really good. When things are bad, they're really bad. So
he had a fumble yesterday. It was like a big fumble. They were up 4 inside the red zone going in to go up at least 7.
I saw that Irv Smith dropped it.
Well, Irv Smith fumbled. I'm sorry. That was the one in the red zone. But they had Jamar Chase had a big fumble earlier in the game, and I sat there. I was so pissed because I had a parlay with the Bengals winning that game outright, and I was so pissed. I was like, man, all he does is fucking bitch and complain, and now he fumbles the ball. It was right before halftime. I think it was the same situation. They were up 4. I don't think 49ers benefited off of it.
Do we know if does Zach Taylor call their plays?
Dude, I think he does, only because I remember last year.
I could see Chase bitching.
Chase and Burrow were bitching.
Yeah. So I don't know if he's calling them or not.
I think he does.
Okay, yeah. But now, did he take over the duties, or are you saying he was doing it last year?
I think he's been doing it the entire time, and I also think everybody always says like one guy calls the plays, and like for like a guy like maybe Andy Reid, that's true. But I think for the most part, guys who call the plays, it's a collective effort, and they might be the decision maker, but I think it's the OC, the quarterback coach, the head coach. Like,
well, I would say that I agree with you that at least have a group of plays going into something like, hey, this is what we're going to run. Because you got to get it in. You got 40 seconds, so there's probably not much conversating going on about it. You got to get them in. But yeah, I would agree with you. I think, once again, they just slow start, but now it's like. Now, probably an overreaction, but it's like, oh, now I think they're going to win the AFC. And last week, 2 weeks ago, was the Niners are the greatest team ever, whatever. So it's just, or that I'm saying, so.
I think I said that yesterday about the Bengals. Like, I think they're going to win the Super Bowl. Like, I just overreacted like that. But I will say, I was the opposite on the 49ers. Yeah. And everybody was saying, like, they're great, they're great, they're great. Now, I look like an idiot because I did it a week early and then they just embarrassed the Cowboys. But I just didn't see it. I thought, I wanted to see what happens when Brock, we both talked about this. We agreed, like, okay, everything's gone right for Brock Purdy. What happens when something starts to go wrong? In the first 5 games, he was 9 touchdowns, no picks, nobody touched him pressure-wise. Since then, Trent Williams been in and out of the lineup, kind of not 100%.
That's been killing him, but that's also what you said. You said they're just one injury away on the offensive line, and it seems that's definitely the truth.
One injury away from being not serviceable on the offensive line. But then
Trent Williams also is the best top 3 offensive linemen in the entire league. So 100%. Without him, you're really not near as good.
No, you're not near as good. And
what's the deal with Deebo Samuel?
Yeah, I think, dude, I
don't hurt.
Yeah, he's been injured, but I don't know. It must be more serious than they're letting on because he's been. Did he even play yesterday?
I don't know. I just know one of the games. I don't know if he was like a decoy out there.
He was a decoy.
Like 0 catches. So,
he played the whole game as a decoy. He was injured in that game. I don't even think he played yesterday. I don't remember him being out there. But
something must be really wrong with him because he hasn't done much of anything.
Yeah.
So.
In the last 3 games, Purdy, 3 touchdowns, 5 picks after the first 5, 9, and 0. So we'll see. The 49ers, it's just that's the NFL, like you said. Injuries play a large part. I don't think long run I'm that worried about him, but I do think this is interesting to see. Like, can you win a Super Bowl with this structure of having a quarterback paid very little who's not elite, but just have great coaching, great offensive pieces? I guess we'll find out.
Yeah, they almost did it with. Now listen, Jimmy G was making money back then. But I would put him in the, somebody might beat me up for this, but in the same category as Purdy because a lot of people think. Purdy was just so elite, early on putting up these stats, but he's always been kind of a game manager, and I don't know if they're letting him do more. I've heard rumors that they were kind of letting him loose, but it just doesn't necessarily seem to be working.
If you're a quarterback in the Kyle Shanahan system, the best thing you could ever do is just listen to what he says. Just run the play he calls, don't check anything at the line, and throw it where he tells you to throw it. It's pretty simple. You got all these weapons, just let them do the work. But we'll see how if those teams continue to trend in that direction. It looks like the Bengals. I do think that is kind of a hot take after like saying that they're done, but we said it. You said this like beginning of the year. We thought they were going to be really, really good, and if they find a way to get to the point that we thought they could be, they were in the AFC. They were one play away from getting to the Super Bowl last year. So same team, maybe a little bit better. Moving on though, we'll talk about the AFC and sticking with kind of the Bengals, and we also have the Bills who have been one of the favorites going in. They've struggled lately. The Chiefs looked like the clear favorite. Then yesterday they drop one to the Broncos in Mile High. Nobody saw that coming. Then, maybe the Ravens have, maybe turned a corner. They tend to always drop games they shouldn't, but they demolish a really good Lions team a couple weeks ago. Followed up without it's a flat spot, right, versus a Cardinals team, and they come in and beat the shit out of them. So, who would you put as the favorite? Maybe even your Jaguars. Who's the favorite in the AFC
My Jags,
right now?
Baby, so back. Certainly, the Ravens are just a team to me that they're just I would call them regular season juggernauts. I don't know what I know they lose games, but to me, I don't know if I don't have the belief in Lamar Jackson or what it is. I just don't think that team can win a Super Bowl. I don't think they're better than the Chiefs. I don't think they're better than the Bengals. I don't think they're better than the Bills, like in a postseason game. I just don't. In the regular season, maybe, you saw what they did to the Lions last week. They absolutely embarrassed them. But I just don't see them winning 3 games in the playoff,
Yeah.
3 in a row, even with a bye or whatever it may be, and only one team gets the bye now, right? So
Yes, only
just
the
about-
one seed.
So just about everybody else has got to win 4 games to win the Super Bowl. So, yeah, I think out of those teams, I mean, I think out of those teams, it's probably an overreaction, but the Bengals look great right now.
I know they do.
And like we've talked about Buffalo, the injuries kill them, but there are a couple, a trade maybe in their secondary away, or rumors of them going out and getting Derrick Henry. If they got Derrick Henry, obviously you would know they'd probably put them up top as Super Bowl favorites. Another idea people have said is go trade the Jets for Dalvin Cook and have both the brothers in the backfield
That's
to do that.
not a bad idea either.
And, so
They don't really need Dalvin Cook over in New York. Brees Hall's, getting 80%
he's kind
of
of
the
back,
snaps.
and they were looking to have those 2 guys, kind of 2-headed monster for a Super Bowl run, and without Rodgers, you might as well trade Dalvin and get something for him.
I completely agree. Like looking at, I think you're spot on, right? Like Lamar Jackson's 1-3 in the playoffs. Like how much of a until I see them doing the playoffs, won't trust them for sure. I'd completely agree on the Ravens. The Bills, you hit it on the head as well, right? Injuries are the difference, and I still don't think that Bills team is like elite. I think Josh Allen masks a lot of their problems. They don't have a great offensive line. They have one really good receiver. They don't, like you said, they need a running back, or they don't have much of a run game. I also am not a big Sean McDermott guy. I think he stymies that offense. I don't think he allows the offensive coordinators, and Daboll used to get into it with him a lot. And I don't think he allows the OC to just like call whatever plays. He wants them to run the ball and punt and play defense, and that's not the way you play when you have Josh Allen at quarterback. But I agree. I think, you can maybe say the Bengals. I don't like the Chiefs without wide receivers. They had that issue yesterday. I know Mahomes wasn't 100% healthy, but we'll see. I think I would probably lean to maybe the Bengals. I guess you could say the Chiefs maybe, but interesting to see how that plays out. Also, yesterday we had my beloved Cowboys. Every week it's did they turn the corner? Are they the worst team ever? And they just 5-2 is 5-2. You have a better record than the 49ers, right? You're in second place in the NFC, and unfortunately the first place team is in your division, but
they play this week.
See. And if the Cowboys win, you're first place in the NFC.
Is it Philly? Where are they playing?
I believe it's in Philly.
Yeah, I mean, the way the game started was hilarious. I mean, he got sacked like 4 times, right? One got overturned.
Three of the first 4 plays.
3 of the first 4 plays. Getting illegal contact and gets you a first down on 3rd and 20 or something like that.
Joke.
And anyway, the rest is history from there. Go down, score. Rams, that first drive went down and got a field goal, looked okay, and then the next play, Cowboys scored and got a pick 6, right? Field goal, pick 6, and then then they were running away with it. Looked like Stafford. Well, he definitely hurt his thumb because he did end up leaving the game, right?
He played through it in the third quarter.
Couple series and then left.
Yeah, then left. Of course he left because I needed him to play well in fantasy, and of course he left, in the fourth quarter.
That's right.
Great, fucking unreal, man.
Yeah, so I mean I think you hit on it before. The Cowboys just seem to be when they play at home, they just seem to be a different animal.
Yeah.
The road, they're not great. They get these home games. I mean, they look good off the bye. They were, offensive line, I think, got healthy. Right? I mean,
except for Tyron Smith. He didn't play yesterday.
But Martin was back.
Martin's back, but Biotish is back at center. Tyler Smith left guard. Everybody played except for Tyron Smith.
So that definitely helps getting those guys back. And it showed Dak throwing it all over the yard, which is good to see.
Yeah.
CeeDee Lamb had a great game. So
what's funny to me is it feels like this every time the Cowboys play somebody. They either completely get shit on, like the Cardinals game, they were losing the entire game, ended up losing by double digits. The 49ers, they were getting shit on from the first minute of the game. But you look at like a lot of the games Dallas has played besides that, and they've just like blown teams out with the exception of the Chargers last week. They blew out the Giants week 1, 40-10. They blew out the Jets 30-10. They blew out the Patriots 38-3. They blew out the Rams this week 43-20. What happened in all of those games? A defensive or special teams touchdown or multiple. Yeah. And so the score gets skewed is the problem. Like you look at it and it's like, man, they won 43-20 again. And then it's so deflating when you lose the next week to a good team. Well, it's because these scores are inflated because the defense hasn't played great against really good offenses, albeit they played pretty good against the Chargers, but they've not played great against good offenses, and they just force turnovers and get points against bad offenses. And like happened, as good as Stafford's played this year, he's still a pick-6 monster the last 3 seasons. And that's what happened. They pick-6'd him, and that's why the score looks so ugly. I don't think that would have been that big of a blowout.
And I mean,
otherwise.
when you actually watch that Chargers game they played, they probably should have won by more than they did, right? They didn't get that defensive touchdown, but a lot of errors. I mean, I think they went for it on. I mean, I guess the Chargers went for one that they didn't get either.
But I think you're right.
The Cowboys. When we were watching that, it didn't seem like it should have been that close, and they ended up winning the game. But But you're right. It's the only close game they've played. Everything else has been pretty much a blowout one way or the other.
It's been a very weird year for Dallas. I mean, it's funny. I think we're going to find out something about them on next Sunday. They play the Eagles in Philly, but I don't know that I trust them all that much to play a good team in a spot like that. I know that we're talking about their schedule being kind of brutal, but really after the Eagles, home versus the Giants, at the Panthers versus the Commanders versus the Seahawks. I mean, that's
a stretch that you want to win at least 3 of those.
You got to win at least 3. You should win 4. If you can steal this Eagles game, you got a shot maybe to win the NFC. I mean, I think that's kind of wild to say, and I'm not saying they're going to. I still don't trust McCarthy, still don't trust Dak. But, I'm hoping the offense figured it out a little bit because at least they pushed the ball down the field. That was the one thing I was happy about. Like, the first 6 games of the season, dude, we're watching these games like check down Charlie Dak, throwing to the tight ends 3 yards of the backfield, throwing the ball short of the sticks on 3rd and 7. It's so frustrating. It was a different looking offense yesterday. That was what I took away.
Yeah, NFL, you just got to push the ball down the field. The teams that do that are so much harder to stop than these guys that dink and dump, and then you get yourself into these 2nd and 2s. In the NFL, 2nd and 2, I mean, I'm sure the percentages say it's okay, but they stop you a lot of the time,
I know.
too. It's like there's not a whole lot of difference between, in my opinion, your 2nd and 2s and 3s, and then, third and 5, whatever. I mean, it's just throw the ball down the field. Those are the hardest teams to stop. The Chiefs did it with Hill. Now the Dolphins are doing it with Hill and Waddle. I mean, you just throw the ball down the field. The Cowboys have enough receiving talent to do it.
Absolutely. Moving on to what was a very impressive rookie debut for Will Levis of the Tennessee Titans. Now, they win the game. They defeat the Falcons. Will Levis goes 19-29, 238 yards, 4 touchdowns, 3 of them to D-Hop, who looked like he was finally happy because he had a competent quarterback throwing to him. Now, when Tannehill comes back from injury, they go back to Ryan Tannehill, I will be 100% convinced that the Tennessee Titans are just a money laundering front because there's no possible way.
They might be. They're owned by a woman.
There you go, right there. I mean, strike one right there, and strike 2 if you start Ryan Tannehill for 7 seasons. How the fuck is that guy?
I knew someone that played for him back in the day. I'm pretty sure they had to buy. Well, I don't think they do anymore, but they were one of the teams that it was like. Most facilities you go to, it's like everything's free. It's just like take what you want, and like the Titans were like rationing out muscle milks to people. I mean, the Arizona Cardinals, I think, are the only team that actually still charges their players for lunch.
It's like that clip in Moneyball where they walk in and he tries to click the soda and he's like, it's $1. He's like, welcome to Oakland.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, that's exactly it.
That's exactly it. Saving the bucks.
Regardless, though, I mean, look. To me, one of 2 things is true. Either this is a complete fluke and Levis isn't – obviously he's not that good, but he's not as good as he showed, even remotely close. Or number 2, we have the same issue that with Mike Vrabel that Bill Belichick has. No ability to evaluate quarterback talent whatsoever because – this dude wasn't even on the fucking roster going into this week. He was the 3rd-string emergency backup. They had Malik Willis as the second quarterback. Malik Willis started 1 NFL game, and he completed 4 passes for 73 yards the entire game and played every snap. So, to me, you're either just blind or this is a fluke. I don't think you could tell me that an NFL quarterback making a full start that he's not remotely decent, at least. Like, maybe he's not 4 touchdowns, no interceptions good, but how... You have Ryan Tannehill. Why would you have Ryan Tannehill as your quarterback?
You would think that, well, a couple things here. I think that Vrabel, first of all, he's a defensive guy, as you know. So he just doesn't, I think maybe a little bit is with the, assessing talent. But I think he thought with getting Hopkins this year that they were going to, not that they were going to win the Super Bowl, but, I mean, he may be delusional enough to think that. But they could probably still win that division with the Colts, it was going to be them or the Jags. I think the Jags were favored to win the division. But, I mean, he's playing kind of for the present and his job, not to develop, quarterback and rookie quarterback talent. He's just trying to win games.
Yeah.
And I don't think he's really thinking about the long run there. I mean,
that's a good point.
I don't think that he's necessarily on the hot seat in Tennessee. I don't think anybody's really calling for his head. They're not, they're a team that's very middle of the road. They've won, several division titles in a row there, I guess, didn't they?
Yes. No, they did. They won multiple titles.
And I just think he thinks Tannehill, like right now, he gives me the best chance to win. Now, as far as Malik Willis being in front of Levis, I think they were saying yesterday during the broadcast that Will Levis got hurt in the preseason. So maybe that was it, and he played very limited snaps. Now, you should still know, but I'm just going back to Vrabel thinking that, okay, Willis has played before. He gives me a better chance of winning this game right now than, Will Levis, which is obviously not true. Levis won the game yesterday and threw for 4 touchdowns. So, yeah, I mean, I think, is Tannehill supposed to come back this week, next week?
I know it was a temporary injury, so it's going to be this week or next week.
Yeah, and I think the deal is if Levis goes out and does it again, there's no doubt he'll be the starting quarterback. If he goes out and struggles, I personally think, knowing Mike Vrabel, he'll go back to Tannehill, thinking that gives me the best chance to win now. But I don't know. It could be one of those things, man. Like, obviously, everybody that game plans for the Tennessee Titans, your first goal is to stop the run.
Yeah.
Right? But I think with Levis in there especially, they were like, hey, dude, we're putting everybody in here. Hopkins hasn't done anything. We're committing everybody to the run. They're trying to play a lot of man coverage on Hopkins, and he's still pretty darn good.
He's still fucking good.
Levis found him a few times. So that would be my guess on what happened there with the quarterback evaluations and stuff. But I almost think of it as an opposite deal, where if I was Mike Vrabel, I'd say, hey, look, we drafted this kid. He was supposed to be a lottery pick, and he wasn't, and he looks pretty good. You talk to ownership and the GM and say, I want to try to build for the future. But the problem with that is you have Derrick Henry, who's tailing towards the end of his career, and once you lose him and you don't have that running game anymore,
that luxury,
you're the second or third best team in that division. So as delusional as it is, they're trying to win a Super Bowl. So
it's so dumb. Now, I mean, I will say though, man, he was slinging that thing around on some of those passes. Now, he wasn't like insanely accurate on every throw by any means, but I mean, the arm talent is no doubt there. We knew that for sure. And to me, I just think, you're right. Everything you said is spot on. And I think if he struggles, Vrabel will go back to Tannehill. It honestly wouldn't shock me if Tannehill came back this week. If he started him and put Will Levis at the number 2, again, it wouldn't shock me because Vrabel's that absurdly dumb. But I think that this is also, you mentioned this, there's new leadership in that organization, the GM, and he's the one who drafted Will Levis. Will Levis slid. He was supposed to be up, first round pick, slid to the second round. It's like, I think him playing might have been the GM saying, you need to play this guy. That's the only reason I think that he might stay as the quarterback and can the rest of the year. To me, if I'm the GM, I don't think that's a recipe for success to tell a coach what to do. But if I'm the GM, I'm like, you're starting this guy or you're going. Because Vrabel he's fine. Like, he's fine. Like, he does a good job. But, like, you're not, that organization, the way they play, you're never winning a Super Bowl unless you just get a stud quarterback. So just try it. I mean, I understand Vrabel, you want to save your job. You're trying to win now, but it just, to me, if I'm the GM, and I wouldn't do this in a lot of situations, I'm telling Vrabel, you're starting the kid the rest of the year unless he's injured, unless he's not 100%. Makes no sense to not do it.
Actually like Vrabel a lot as far as like defensive mind head coach, because guys love him and play extremely hard for him. He goes on Will Compton and Taylor Lewan's podcast like quite a bit called Bussin' with the Boys, and he's
he
funny.
Goes on that one a lot?
Well, he's been a few times, and they're all very, like, Taylor got cut this year and Will Compton got cut, so they always make that joke, like, oh, the guy fucking cut us here. But he's actually really funny.
Wait, they got cut from the Titans?
Yeah, both
Stop.
of them.
No fucking way.
Yeah, well, Taylor Lewan had, like, a shit ton of money left. Like, they weren't going to re-sign him. Like, it was going to cost him a fortune. So he made a bunch of money, and he just, I don't know if he's, I think he's just retiring because.
Could he keep playing?
Yeah, I mean, like, he's definitely good enough, but he had that major, like, knee surgery and whatever.
Yeah.
But he was a top 10 pick out of Michigan tackle. He was very good, and he blew out his knee, I think, a couple years ago, but he made a lot of money on that. He got one more deal, I think, after his rookie deal, so he made quite a bit of money. And I think now him and Will Compton's podcast is so successful and stuff, that's just kind of
they're
what he
fine
wants
with
to
that.
do. And so they had Vrabel on, and they love him. So it's like the guys, I think everybody that plays for him loves him. But he needs a really good offensive coordinator because he has nothing to do with that. So he's kind of just at the mercy of, who's calling those offensive plays and what they're trying to do. So
yeah, they need somebody else.
It's
in
crazy
that
it worked out when Arthur Smith was the one calling the plays. He's
unreal.
a fucking idiot.
Arthur Smith is one of the dumbest motherfuckers, man.
It's all right. His dad founded FedEx, so he's got something to fall back on.
Yeah, that might be. He might need that fallback sooner rather than later. Moving on, last thing we'll kind of hit on here in our Sunday standouts, and that's maybe the biggest upset of the week with the Denver Broncos winning at home against the Kansas City Chiefs. I called it. I told you. I said, I don't know why. This makes no sense. And we talked about how hard it is to beat a team 3 times and how easy it was to beat them 16 times in a row. But for some reason, some way, somehow, the Broncos got the outright upset. Maybe Mahomes was sick. And
no, he was sick.
Whatever.
You fucking poisoned him. You somehow you got that virus from the Wuhan lab and put it in his room. And no, I'm just kidding. But yeah, no, he was definitely fucking sick, and he was trying to show you he was sick too. Did you see him walking into the stadium?
No.
He was walking into the stadium and he had a NyQuil bottle in his hand.
He's such a fucking
I know.
poser,
I was like,
man,
that is such a soft move, letting everybody know I'm really, really sick.
It's so fucking dumb. He does the same shit every time he's injured. He wants to just show how injured, like limping around, like he's got a broken fucking ankle.
When he came off the bus, it was like bag over his shoulder and NyQuil or Dayquil in his hand, walking into the. I'm sure you can find the picture online. It's hilarious.
So fucking annoying.
And someone was like, "Did you see that picture of him walking in with that?" I was like, "That is such a Mahomes move."
Such a Mahomes move.
Letting everybody know I'm going to play really bad. It's because I'm really sick.
But if I play good, I want all the attention because I was sick.
Yeah.
So it's just so annoying.
But if you're that sick and that worthless, why not just let who is your backup? Is it Gabbert now?
It's it might be Blaine Gabbert. Yeah.
I think I saw Gabbert, one of the best jobs in the world, backing up Brady. Now he's backing up Mahomes.
It's just the easiest job in the world.
Collecting rings.
Don't even have to take a knee because they never want to come. I mean, Mahomes didn't even come out. I think he went on the field with 30 seconds to go, and they were down 2 scores, and he still went out and took the last snap. Like, he didn't even. At that point, it's like, why are you out there? And I think they actually ran a play. They threw the ball on the last play. Like, it made no sense.
Oh, speaking of just being an idiot, and I saw this happen the other day, the 49ers, who I got to call out Shanahan, even though I think he's the best coach in the NFL, down 14 points, 35 seconds left. The offense, shows how big of a egotistical maniac he is, too. 30 seconds left, down 14. He put all the starters back out on the field and threw a screen pass to Christian McCaffrey, who's been hurt. With not even 30 seconds, like 24 seconds. McCaffrey got 36 yards or something on it, got tackled at the end of the play. I'm like, the fuck are you doing? And then the next play, he threw a screen the other way. Wasn't even trying to score. No laterals. He got another 40 yards and he was tackled. So the Niners got, I think, 70 yards of offense the last 30 seconds of the game to make the box score look that much better.
I did not know that. I turned the game off.
They got Ray McCloud. So Brock Purdy added, like, I can go look at it because I'm actually curious what it is. Brock Purdy
I got you right here.
Brock Purdy added 50 or 60 yards passing in the last 2 plays of the game.
That's fucking crazy. And
yeah,
also,
you should go look at it, but it's like, what is he, like the one to Ray McCloud at the end, like, who fucking cares? But why would you have McCaffrey in the game? And he does it all the time.
Well, we talked about this at the beginning of the year when they were up fucking massive at the end of the game early on with Pittsburgh. He's got 30 touches and you're giving him the ball with a minute to go, run the clock out. It makes no sense. And that means, you know what? That's why, in my opinion, we talked about this before. Shanahan, scheme-wise, game plan-wise, play calling, brilliant. Game management, in-game management, he's not even a top 15 coach. He's an idiot when it comes to it. It makes absolutely no sense. McCaffrey gets hurt every year, and he's already injured. Doesn't make any sense. We talked about a game week 1. We said he's going to get Christian McCaffrey injured by playing him this way. You want to minimize the guy's touches, not maximize.
I think it was the game when they were playing, like, the game they played the Cardinals maybe right after the Cowboys, like week 4, and they were winning by, like, 21 or 17. And, I mean, they handed the ball to McCaffrey in the fourth quarter, like, 10 times.
It was absurd.
I'm like, what are you doing?
Yeah, on the end of it, you're right. 2 plays, 69 yards.
Okay, but those are all Brock Purdy passes.
All Brock Purdy passes. He had a 28 yards to McCaffrey and a 41-yarder to Ray McCloud. Yeah. And there was a what's hilarious about it is there was an ineligible downfield pass, but they declined it because it ends the game, so they got all the yards.
They got 73 yards.
That is so. Anybody who is like, could you imagine if somebody on a DFS like big board had Ray McLeod there and Brock Purdy and won on that shit? They probably did. Anyway, that aside, we'll move on from the standouts. Just quickly, a couple other big things that happened, and I know we spent some time on the NFL already, but Packers are done. I mean, I think that's pretty clear. And we'll talk about Matt LaFleur in a second, but the Jordan Love experiment is fucking over. I mean, he's one of the worst quarterbacks in the NFL in the past 10 years. Kirk Cousins tears his Achilles. Did he rupture it? Or is it a partial tear?
I don't know.
Either way, could be career ending.
My fantasy team's fucked.
Sorry about that.
I'm in first place, too.
Wait, are you serious?
In the other league, yeah. So
oh, man.
I was such a great pick. I told everybody when I picked them, I go, guys, the Vikings can't run the ball for shit. They have Addison, and they have the best receiver in the league in Jefferson. Hawkinson's top 5 tight end. I go, Kirk Cousins is going to throw for 350 yards every game and 3 touchdowns. That's exactly what he did until Justin Jefferson went out.
And still, he was still slinging it around. Yeah. I mean,
I think he had a pretty good game. He didn't even play like the last quarter.
He did, and fucking Addison's lighting me up too.
Yeah.
But yeah, those are 2 other kind of little storylines we had, and we still have a game that I know this probably won't get out before the game. We got a terrible Monday Night Football game tonight after a terrible Sunday night game yesterday. Luckily, the slate of games this week is going to be better. But quickly moving on, we'll go and talk a little bit about NFL officiating. I think this is a hot topic around, I think, fans in the NFL, right? Like, it's a big topic. People get pissed with officials. I'm guilty of it a lot, and
Dylan does not like officials.
I can't stand officials.
I think they're great people that are trying to do their absolute best, and they have families, and we need to think about that first and foremost.
If you
heard the stuff Dylan says on Sunday about officials, he'd be on a fucking terror watch list. Okay, that's all I'm saying.
Did you? They deserve every bit of what I say.
He says stuff like, they're the worst human. Like his go-to line during games are, officials are the scum of the earth. They're the worst fucking humans I've ever seen, and they have no soul. I swear to God, he says that twice.
I believe that.
Twice a weekend.
I believe it.
And this goes back to his JV basketball coaching days and playing days.
Officials have hated me since I was a fucking 3rd grader playing CYU basketball.
That's because you're a smart ass and you don't respect the officials. You don't respect the authority in the game.
I don't respect the officials.
They're doing their best.
They're not doing their best. They're inherently biased. They pick a side they want to win, and they've done it forever. I saw it in high school basketball.
You know who you
I
need
see
to
it in
go
the
watch?
NFL.
You need to go watch the who's the old coach at South Carolina? Frank Martin, was that his name? The guy that
Frank Martin, dude. Yeah, he's a legend.
He's got a great rant about officials, but it's not like he's like college officials he doesn't like, but he's like talking about like you in the 3rd grade at CYO. It's like, you got a guy out there trying to earn an extra $40 a week, and you got parents losing their goddamn mind on them, thinking that they're throwing the game so little Jimmy, who they hate in the 3rd grade, that the other team can win. He's like, it is the most delusional. He like loses his mind. And he
I will say parents yelling at officials has gone way too far. My problem with officials is not necessarily at the high school ranks, although I think they're horrible. And I do actually 100% wholeheartedly believe that, I guess I can somewhat understand it. I would never do this because I'm a mindful person, but I would never, I think that whoever they don't like in a game, like they're around the San Antonio area or around the Dallas area, whatever, they have a player they don't like, they have a coach they don't like, they purposely call the game a certain way. I could get into some other things that I have on officials that I believe, but I don't want to get onto it on air because I think it would probably cause some, it's a touchy subject, but I think I think some officials are inherently biased towards certain people, but
I would agree with that somewhat. I think in the NFL, especially, it's
different thing.
Yeah, because they're just being graded so often that it's like, how do you throw a phantom? But no, I would agree with you that like on the high school level, if someone hates like a fucking head coach,
I've seen it,
and it's gonna be like in a football game, it's like I could call a hold there, or I couldn't hold a hold there. Like, now let's move them back 10 yards.
That's right.
That probably happens,
dude. I experienced
guys that are just making a couple bucks out there. And they're like, if you're going to be an asshole to me, then, I'll return the favor to you. I think that happens.
Well, and look, I had some officials who I really liked. There was a guy named Roland. Roland, if you ever find this podcast and see this, shout out. He's my favorite official.
You have a soul, Roland. We love you.
He's a G, man. And there are some officials just like him. But when I first got him, I'm real emotional and intense on the sideline. But I never, ever cursed at officials. And I never... like I would like react, but I'd never like show like a ton of negativity towards him. I'm just like loud, right? And so Roland, the first time he officiated my game, he didn't like me because I did that. And then as I got to know him better, he ended up becoming buddies, and he's like my favorite official. Fair, like, and it's guys like that who it's like, okay, and you get an initial look at somebody and it's like, I don't like this, and then you just adjust and it's like, oh, they're not actually like that or whatever. Same thing. But I have officials who will just like, they come in, they decide the first time I coach against them, they don't like me, and every time I get them, they fucking purposely will call the game the other way. I swear to you, they do.
I mean, I could see it a little bit. I will say that the officials, though, in a way, especially in Major League Baseball, like the guys that have been there forever, like Cowboy Joe West, who just retired, they'd like become a part of the game. Like you'll hear other Major League Baseball players go on podcasts and stuff like, oh man, you know, like Joe was like, man, I love Joe, or like, oh, I can't stand Joe. Everybody has their opinion on him, but he's fucking hilarious too, because someone got his email and they heard that if you bitch at him over email, he'll email you back. And this guy has a receipt of him emailing him the day he threw out, like, I forgot who it was. I think it was Joey Votto. He threw out of a game, and he's like, you know, you got a lot of nerve throwing Joey Votto out when he was going for, like, the cycle or something like this. And he goes, and, you know, yada, yada, yada. And Joe West goes, listen, it literally, like, 2 hours later, he responded to his email and goes, he was arguing balls and strikes. You know you can't do that. He was showing me up. And he goes, I gave him 3 chances. And he goes, guess what? Next time, because of this email, I'm not going to give him 3 chances. And he goes, you're entitled to your opinion, but I only listen to educated ones like Cowboy Joe West, and send him an email back.
That's fucking great.
So it's actually funny how, like, some of those guys, like, you know, now, do they make themselves more than what they're supposed to be?
Yeah.
Of course they do.
Yeah.
It's like fucking Teddy Valentine in college basketball.
Right.
They think that, you know, we call him Big Game Teddy, that people tune in to see him call a charge.
That's right.
You'll see him blow his whistle 5 times, and you scream. And then, you know, I mean,
he's crazy.
And no one gives him any lip because they know they're instantly going to get teed up. He's a nutball. But that's what kind of makes, I will say obviously there's a crucial role, but the ones that are just batshit crazy that think the game's almost just as much about them as I kind of like those guys.
Yeah, I bet you do.
I kind of like those guys.
I could see those being your type of guys. But no, like I'll say last thing I'll say on a high school officiating, and then we'll kind of touch on the NFL. But you know, it's just like I think a lot of those guys, and I don't mean this in a mean way, but I think that's like the most power they have in their life, and then they like being able to like threaten to throw you out or like give you a technical foul.
I think there's no doubt about that.
I see that all the time.
Especially at the high school level.
Yeah, I'm like the second this game is over, what are you gonna do? Like,
yeah, I would say that the high school ones I would agree with you that they're absolutely the worst. I think when you have younger guys that are like umpiring younger kids' games, it's like a side gig to make money.
That's different.
And then once you get to college and stuff, I think that those guys actually want to do a good job too, because they want to keep their job and you actually make money. High school officials, I'm with you, is some of them just love doing it and like being around it, but some of them are definitely on power trips.
Yes, no doubt. And to me, it's like, I don't like that the fans get so upset and yell at them, because to me, that takes away from the ability for the coaches to say things to them, because the fans, to me, have no right to say anything.
Well, they don't know what's going on.
They don't know what's going on. Anyway, But a coach sitting there watching the game, it's just like, and I'll have some officials who it's like, I can't even have a conversation with them, like not loud. I'm just like want to talk to them and ask them, and you can't do it because they're just dicks. So, you know, and that happens. I get it. But moving real quick to the NFL, we've seen this for you know, basically the entirety of our lives watching football. But it's been, as social media has become more prevalent, it's really become center stage. Every official is criticized each week for bad calls. That said, and I'm the first one to say it, there are a ton of horrific calls going around the league. And I think we have an issue that needs to be addressed. I just think it's so backwards that the idea essentially, to me, that we are going to kind of mix these two things. We're going to mix the fact that we want to get the call right along with the fact that we want to keep the game moving and keep people interested. Pick one, which is your goal. Do you want to make it quick, or do you want, because to me, the whole idea should be to get it right. In which case, we've talked about this. We've said it multiple times. You have a replay center. You have somebody up there. That's how they do it when they go to look at these things. Every play should be automatically reviewed. by that booth. If there is something wrong, there's a buzzer or a whatever, come down, boom, we get it, we move the spot back. We don't have to have officials go over to a fucking monitor, put their head in this 5-inch screen they're looking at, and just be like, okay, let me write down where we're going to spot it. It's like, no, we see it, the fucking XFL has it. Got a little thing in your ear? Boom. Dean Blandino up there. Maybe not Dean, because Dean's a fucking moron.
Shout out, Dean.
Shout out, Dean. You're a fucking idiot.
You're the man, Dean.
Give me
love officials.
Give me what's the other guy's name?
Maybe that could be my, Pat McAfee's the kickers for the Brands. I could be the officials guy.
I like that.
Dean Blandino, I just got off the phone with him, and we're real upset with what's been going on about this.
I like that actually a lot. But what's Terry McCauley? I like Terry McCauley. Because Dean Blandino just agrees with whatever the official says.
Terry calls fuckers out.
Terry calls fuckers out. So put Terry McCauley in a booth and say, okay, boom, nope, he wasn't down. Kenny Pickett did not get the first down. He's half a yard short, wasn't even fucking close. You idiots move the ball back. We see this happen multiple times. We see phantom PI calls every week. We see calls. There was one we watched together, the Eagles Dolphins game last week. 2 horrific missed pass interference calls. One was a face mask and a pass interference call that ended a drive. It was an interception, I believe, or a 4th down, and it was just a egregious missed call. That should be looked at. You should be able to go in the same type of way and in 30 seconds be like, wow. Because essentially that's what we're doing live, right?
I think the XFL has that right where they can look, like if they call a hold and Blandino's looking at it, he'd be like, hey guys, I want to hold, right? Can't they do that? I don't know about do that. Or maybe if the flag has to be thrown, maybe that
might be what it is.
The flag is thrown and he looks at it and says, hey guys, that actually it wasn't a hold or, whatever. And I don't know if they have to ask him to look at it. I will give the league, it's still horrible. I'll give them a little bit of credit in the sense that they have gone to some of these like short reviews where it's like the guy's clearly his knees down on the half yard line.
Yeah.
The ball didn't cross it and they go, after quick booth review, the
right,
ball's
they have gone to
on the one. So they're trying to get better. It's obviously nowhere near where it needs to be. We talked about that Rams game last week, which was crazy. They end up losing the game because they have no timeouts to challenge a spot that was clearly short, and then the game ends because it's outside of 2 minutes
right.
of timeouts. Where if that play would have happened 15 seconds later, then they would have gotten the ball back. So
right.
It's just
huge.
Huge. That kind of stuff needs to be fixed. I think it needs to be just like college, where it's like, sure, those guys have challenges, right? You have like one challenge a game, I think, in college.
You don't use
them.
them.
But everything's just like review.
That's what it should be.
They'll just buzz down and say, hey, we got to look at this. Now, I will say this. College reviews take way too long.
Yeah, they do.
They go over there. They have to run to their little deal and talk to them, where they could just have an earpiece in and be like, hey, the ball's a half yard short, and this is the clock.
Yep.
That's the end of it.
That's it. Boom, we're done. That needs to be instituted. We need to be able to review penalties, even if it's, whatever the standard, make the standard be, it's got to be an egregious miss.
Missed call. Yeah,
got to be an egregious miss. Flag was thrown, it shouldn't have been thrown, or it wasn't thrown and there was an egregious PI or whatever, right? Like, guy gets tackled down, face mask, whatever.
Something that's bad. Like the one in that Eagles-Dolphins game where the guy like ripped his face mask. I mean, like that needs to be. You need to be like, hey guys, you missed it. That's interference. Whatever. Right. And it could be really quick. I mean, it's not. You could even have 2. I'm sure when they have those, review centers, there's one guy, but another guy could help make the decision. But I completely agree. Another one quick thing that we were talking about.
Yeah.
I think it's time. A lot of these rule changes in the NFL were to get offenses going when the league was not near as high scoring. I think it's time. The holding defense and the illegal contact defense, they need to be yardage penalties and not automatic first downs.
Yep.
Like the one play, for instance, at the Cowboys game that just like brought that up. It's like Dak gets sacked 3 times. Well, in the third sack, they called illegal contact, fine. 5-yard penalty, but it's 3rd and 21. That should not be an automatic first down. It's crazy penalties.
It's crazy.
Like if you want to be, some holds are more important, which I get.
Right.
And so that's kind of why they gave the automatic first down on those. But it's like, just make that a 10-yard penalty.
Right.
Move it back to a 10-yard penalty. And I think you bring back the face mask where there's a 5 and a 15-yard face mask. Not every face mask needs to be a 15-yard penalty.
Right.
Sometimes someone just grazes a face mask.
I agree.
And they give you 15 yards and an automatic first down. And those guys make enough calls. They're definitely, competent to say, oh, that was, almost took his head off, or that's a 5-yard face mask.
Or don't even have just have it be if it's grazed or something, then that's not a face mask at all. Like, you know what I mean? Something like that. And I think the hesitancy of that, of the hold thing, is stupid because I almost think like you could even do it where it was like, okay, it's going to be a 5-yard penalty from wherever the hold occurred. So if you held him at the 10 yards, then it's an extra 5 from there because you're probably going to catch it and get a few yards, whatever. Regardless, I completely agree. Like the ones that are just wild to me, and it's like a 3rd and 30. I mean, I honestly think this might be extreme, but I actually think even like a personal foul after the play. Why is it an automatic first down if it's 3rd and 30? Like I understand. Like that it's unsportsmanlike or whatever. But to me, it's a 15-yard penalty and it's 2nd and 30 or 3rd and 30. Yeah. Why does it have to be an automatic first down?
I honestly think, you can just get rid of all the automatic first downs and just do yardage.
The only one you could say like maybe would be an automatic first down would be if a PI or the ball's legitimately in the air and they tackle him. Maybe you could say that one, but that should just be a spot foul, and wherever the penalty is thrown, that's where it's down, and it's it's whether it's a first down or not. Last thing on officials, I think. To me, also, and I think I've said this to you before, I think they should have some sort of like system where the official, and again, we're getting into, this is a lot of stuff that would take planning and things like that, but the official should be graded. In other words, I know they are graded, but I mean, in game, like, okay, you egregiously miss a call, that's one. The way you have an unsportsmanlike penalty on a guy is their first one. Second one, we got a alternate official. They come in for you on the second one, and you're out for a quarter or some shit like that. There should be some system where, to me, the issue I think with some officials, and I do think like you said, 90% of them, maybe more than that, just want to get the call right. But there is a human element to it. That some people are gonna be pissed at some guys and not like some guys and everything. And it's just like, to me, I think you have to have some accountability. They have no accountability for the officials.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that. I don't know how that system would work or whatever, but I'm sure they could come up with something. I guess it's just because they have crews that they work with, so they just probably don't. I mean, I know they have like an alternate guy. I'm sure they're on site too, but yeah, I don't know. I definitely think they can do some kind of grading to make sure that you have the best officials in the NFL or, whatnot, like if guys in college are better or some kind of system to move guys up. I don't know I know the process for Major League Baseball. I know you got to work your way up through the minors and do all that. NFL's weird to me because I guess those guys start in college, but I don't know because Ed Hockley's kid, right? Like, did he do? It'd be interesting to look that up. Like, did you know he's a head NFL official now? Yeah. Did he just start in the NFL?
I know they have schools and shit, but I don't know. You're right. Well, you look at a lot of college officials tend to be there forever. They don't go up to the NFL. That's what I'm saying. You might be right.
They make good money too. Definitely
they make fine money, yeah.
Not the NFL money, but I'm just saying, like, that's interesting to me. It's like, do you just like, this is his first game officiating in the NFL? Like, Major League Baseball, those guys that go up there, although some of them are not great, they're battle tested in the sense that those guys go up to the minor leagues, and it's a grind. Yep. It's like you're in the minors for 10 years before you get up to the Major League Baseball.
Big difference.
Once you get there, it's a hell of a job, but going to those little fucking podunk cities to umpire baseball games for a bag of peanuts before you get there is rough. So
that's pretty bad.
These NFL guys, have dads that are officials seem like, okay, well, they're officials all of a sudden. I'm curious what they do before those games. Yeah, because I don't remember any of those guys being in college football. Maybe they were. I don't know.
I agree. I don't see them. All right, we are back with Chris Lieck, who returns to the podcast after a 2-week hiatus.
You got me for about 8 minutes, and that's it.
Thanks for coming in and provide some character to this show. All right. So we're going to start with the heartbeat. We're going to start with our mid-season grades for the NFL team. So I'm going to give each of you a team, and then you're going to give me a grade and tell me why you give them that grade. So we'll start with Turner. Turner is going to talk about the Houston Texans. Turner, give me a grade on the Houston Texans.
Yeah, rough loss this week to the Carolina Panthers. It was an ugly game. I don't know how many touchdowns were scored in it. It was not great. Lost on a last-second field goal there. But overall, I think D'Amico Ryans has done a really, really nice job. I like what they did in the draft. C.J. Stroud looks like the real deal. Only time will tell, but so far he's looked the best at all the quarterbacks drafted, except maybe for the exception of Will Levis, who came in and threw 4 touchdowns, right? Went at 4 touchdowns his first game.
Yeah.
But
Will, I picked him.
Of course. That's Mr. Leake's boy, one of his
never liked him, said he sucked.
Yes.
30 seconds I saw him.
Gunslinger.
I never miss a quarterback.
He said he was horrible.
Never miss a quarterback.
So actually, C.J. Stroud may not be the best rookie in the division, but he's looked pretty darn good this year. And I would give D'Amico Ryans probably an A overall for what he's done in Houston. I don't know what their team win total was at the beginning of the year. It could have been very high, and they've won 2-3 games. What have they won?
They've
so
won
far?
3. They were 3-3 going into yesterday.
So won
I
3
believe.
games, and like what they did in the draft a lot, getting Will Anderson and C.J. Stroud. And this year they're not going to win the division, but I'm going to go out on a limb and say they will win the division next year.
I think they could win the division next year. I think they've definitely exceeded expectations. They're 3-4, right? They did lose. They did give the Panthers their first win yesterday, but I think the Panthers off of a bye. Nobody goes 0-16 except the Detroit Lions. So I like C.J. Stroud. He's done a great job. I know he's kind of leveled off the last couple of weeks, but he's been pretty good.
Coach needs some work. Not that great of a coach.
Wait, did you give him a letter grade or no?
Yeah, I said it's a solid A.
A solid
not
A.
Not an A plus, not an A minus. It's an A.
I don't love the coach.
Yeah, you don't love the coach?
Nah.
He's pretty damn good.
Nah.
Solid A is. I would say going into yesterday, I would have said A minus. I mean, I would have said A after the loss. I'd say A minus, but they've done a good job. Moving on, and we'll let Chris, Big Daddy, talk about
Big Dog.
Big Dog. I'm sorry,
Daddy.
El Guapo.
I'm sorry, El
Blanco
What is
Blanco
El
del
Guapo?
Rey.
Guapo, the big boss.
Big boss.
No, I thought El Guapo means beautiful. Oh. El Jefe means big boss.
Well, El Padrino.
you're
El Padrino.
you're El Guapo.
All right,
El Jefe.
Your Spanish is not very good.
No.
That's El Padrino.
You and Shamaka are gonna have to work on your Spanish this week, dude.
All right,
Who am I getting?
let's give me a grade on the Dallas Cowboys so far. Cowboys now 5-2 after the win yesterday.
C. Mike McCarthy did adapt this week offensively, throw the ball long, didn't run as much. Don't think that's going to work next week against my Eagles, even though my Cowboys, I grew up since. I mean, I know the Cowboys, 50 years with the Cowboys now, so no one knows them better than me.
I know he looks 42, people, but he's had at least 55 years.
I
with
grew
the
up knowing
Cowboys.
football way back before you guys.
Yes.
Mike adapted this week. I like what he did. It's not going to work against the Eagles. It will work against the Eagles secondary. However, it will not work in general against the most physical, the most well-drafted, and the most put-together team in football, the Eagles. It will not work against them, but I give him and I give Dak actually a good grade for coming back on in that game. I give the running game a C to D. So I'm going to go with giving the Cowboys, Jerry Jones, an F minus. Because he won this week, that means he's not going to make any trade deadline changes, which will kill the Cowboys. They need a receiver. Brandon Cooks is not working. Ain't working. It's not. He's not.
Caught a touchdown this week.
He was great yesterday.
I don't care. He's not that. You need to go get a big time player. You're now going to need a defensive tackle pretty soon. And then we have 2 offensive line guys out. He adapted pretty well. Ain't going to work against the Eagles. I'm going to give him a C for now. But coming up the second half of the season, it's going to be a bloodbath for my Cowboys.
Now, the one thing you forgot and why the Cowboys played so good offensively yesterday, CeeDee Lamb, 14 targets. The next closest guy had 4. That's why.
So
CeeDee Lamb had 12 catches for 158 yards and 2 touchdowns.
So McCarthy answered the press. He answered the things. He didn't look at analytics. He looked at the temperature of the room like I do. I read rooms.
I hate to bring this up, Mr. Leek, but I believe it was a week or maybe 2 weeks ago that you said CeeDee Lamb wasn't a number 1 receiver.
He's not a number 1.
Okay.
He's a number 1 every other game.
What do you have, 43 fantasy
He's
points yesterday?
I call him a 1.5. I can have him on the.
Well,
on the
he may not be a TO.
All right, that's my
but-
take. Jerry will screw this thing up as usual. He's the smallest brain and lowest IQ of any general manager ever.
Dude, that just cost you your job as a Cowboy scout.
I'm just telling.
You sent that video in trying to get a job.
Jimmy Johnson, losing Jimmy Johnson's like his wife said, you fucked up. You done fucked up. So my point is, since that point, Jimmy was the football guy. He should have given him a piece of the Cowboys and left him in there, and we would have been I think we'd had 7 to 8 Super Bowls since that point. That's my grade for the Cowboys.
Unfortunately, we've got 0 Super Bowls since then, and we'll move on.
That's
Turner,
Jerry.
Turner, give me your grade. We'll go. We'll stay in the AFC from your Texans. We'll stay in the same division. Give me a grade on the Jacksonville Jaguars.
As always, our boy Doug Peterson, our boy Dougie.
Winning
He's
Super Bowl
got the
coach
boys.
and author.
Yes, and author.
Of a
Haven't
Super
read
Bowl
that
book.
but
What
yes.
a freaking book.
I mean,
Genius
the only guy
writer.
that would ever try a Philly special in the Super Bowl. Absolute genius of a man, even a better person. Has our Jaguars playing very, very well. Dylan laughed at me when I picked them to win by 14 on the road at the Saints, won by 7. Okay? There was all kinds of mistakes made by the Saints in that game, but that's okay. Doug Peterson just gets W's. That's who he is. He's a winner.
Who he is.
Trevor Lawrence, our boy. Hair looks fantastic
Yeah,
as
love it.
always.
You got to look good, play good.
ETN running the rock, great. Yeah, look good, play good. ETN running the clock, ball, great. I mean, obviously, the head coaching grade is an A+, because Doug Peterson's always going to be an A+.
He's an A+. Now, where do you
The
go?
team, I give them a solid B. I think they could have one more win right now, but they're going to win that division unless Will Levis is,
No, let's don't go there.
well, I mean, 4 touchdowns first game. You gotta go there and kind of imagine the Titans obviously can run the ball really well at home. And they play better at home is my point. But I think the Jaguars are a solid B at this point in the season. Doug Peterson always gets an A+ for me, but they're going to win the division this year. The Texans take over in that division next year.
Yeah, the Texans will take that division over next year. The
No,
Jaguars
no
are
trouble
a
there.
product of 2 things. One, they're in a horrific division, the worst division in football, to be honest. And number 2, they've played the easiest, and that's the real stat. They have the easiest schedule in the league in the first 8 weeks. So that's why they are 5-2 or 6-2 or whatever they are. Regardless, I can guarantee you that Doug Peterson in 4 years, when this all comes crashing down, you're going to see him just like Todd Haley's fall from grace coaching the Memphis Showboats. That's where Doug Peterson is headed. The USFL, maybe the Canadian Football League, CFL. I could see that, but
You got a lot of nerve talking about
Dougie's got about 5 years left in him in the NFL, and then we're going to see him likely, as the OC of the Memphis Showboats.
No, he'll
go XFL at least because your dad will get him a job.
Oh, absolutely. If he calls me,
Yeah.
I'll get him a job. He could coach a Pop Warner team and win a championship, okay? The guy's a genius, okay?
All right, moving on. So Jaguars get a B, and Doug Peterson gets an A from Turner and an F from me for being a fucking idiot. We'll move on to the Philadelphia Eagles for Big Daddy, Big Dog, Padrino.
Philadelphia Eagles have drafted A+ for to start. And I don't like the coach. He's a moron. But A+ because they have put together a behind my boy that I picked in preseason. Everybody said he couldn't throw the ball.
Gunslinger.
And Dylan sits there and says every time he hits it, threads the needle.
He's horrible.
That it's a bad pass.
He
The
can't
guy
throw.
cannot throw a bad pass.
A.J. Brown caught 2 of his touchdowns yesterday were one-hand grabs falling out of bounds. None of his
Anyways.
passes are accurate. He's
As
the
we
most
say-
inaccurate quarterback.
As we say in the music business. Anyways.
He's an complete
that means
inaccurate
disregard
quarterback.
everything y'all are saying.
We know what that means.
Okay, good. Glad y'all are there. Now, real quick, Jalen's going to take that team to the Super Bowl. They're going to beat the Cowboys the shit out of them this week. It's going to be a bloodbath.
I don't think so.
Yeah, oh yeah. And A+ number 1. This is what they do. They have no fear of they can be down 14 points. And I always think that team's going to march down the field. O-line playing like champs. Secondary's all right. Running back, they need to get more involved. They did this week. They need to get them more involved. But in general, A+, can't go wrong. Coaching, GM, I'll say this. Coaching B, general manager, A+, organizational ideas, decisions, A+. And watch, they will make a trade deadline move. They are not the Dallas Cowboys.
They already did. They got Julio Jones.
Yeah, I know that, but that's not a great one. And look for him to catch a couple of balls.
No, he's done.
They might go do another move. But when's the deadline? Today? Tomorrow morning? Tomorrow at noon?
It's Wednesday, I thought.
Wednesday, they'll do
Isn't it
something.
Wednesday?
Dallas will not. Go. That's my grade.
Yeah, I don't know I think the Eagles do get an A just because it's all based on, what wins Super Bowls. Contrary to what people think, quarterbacks are very, very important because they mask issues of other teams. But if you have a great offensive line, you have a great defensive line, you can compete for in the playoffs every single year. That's what the Eagles have.
One little thing to add.
You can have it.
If our boy Doug Peterson was there last year, they win that Super Bowl by 14.
Three
No
Super Bowls.
fucking way.
Yeah, 3 in a row.
3 in a row.
I mean, yeah.
What
Doug
coach gets fired? What coach gets fucking fired 2 years after winning a Super Bowl?
That was the biggest
That was
mistake.
Big Dick Nick's fault, bro.
Yeah.
They didn't have Jalen Hurts, okay?
Yeah, they did it last year, didn't they?
Well, maybe that was his
3
rookie
last 4
year.
games.
All right?
Yeah.
He came in and he sucked.
4 years.
He was
Doesn't matter.
horrible.
Doesn't matter. Dougie's a man.
Yeah.
But anyway, they won 3. It'd be fly, Eagles fly for 3 times.
Yeah, that's not
I
happening.
might even have to move there
3-peat.
someday.
Although, now, I will say this before we move on. I do think the Eagles are the best team in the NFC now because you two in here, the last time my dad was on here, sat there and said, man, the 49ers are the best team in football, and no one's fucking close to them. And I said, everybody hold on. This is the NFL. I was just a week early. I said that the Cowboys would beat the Niners. I was a week early. I said they're coming down to earth. They're thin. They don't have anybody. They have no depth. Brock Purdy, everything's gone right for him. Wait till one thing goes wrong. And what happened? 3 straight losses. Thank you. I'm right there. Thank you.
Ayahuasca, relax.
We'll give you some credit there.
Thank you.
I still think they're really good. I think
they're
that
good.
Brock Purdy, though, and I've agreed with you on that in a sense.
Yeah, you did.
He was never the elite guy that people were
No
trying
one
to make
said he
him
was
out to
elite.
be.
They just said he's a freedom baller.
I will say this
Run
though.
through the last 3 games.
I'll spin zone
my
this
bad.
about Brock Purdy. I think they're putting him in bad situations to save $20 million a year come the end of the season.
I mean, that's a San Francisco move right there.
I mean,
No,
they're gonna make the playoffs, or
Yeah,
they're not. So
yeah.
it's like, hey, let's just make Brock look not so good and save $20 million a year. It's
a smart move.
Season. It's a
All right.
brilliant move.
It's a brilliant move.
Next, who's he got next?
All right, Turner, last grade. Give me a grade on the Seattle Seahawks, who sit 5-2 after their 24-20 victory over the Cleveland Browns
the
yesterday.
NFC West leading Seattle Seahawks 5-2 now, right?
5-2.
We just gave you the record. Pete Carroll just always has the boys ready to go. I mean, I think he's a complete idiot, chewing his gum over there. Everybody's always amazed how old he is. He's pushing like 80 years old now. He looks like he's in his
like
60s
me.
still. Yeah,
We
just
run
like
5
you.
miles a day.
That's it.
We work out, we box.
Pete Carroll's
kick-
72. for
Yeah,
reference.
yeah.
We kick. We kickbox. We do everything. We
You-
yoga.
you've
we
never-
jump.
You haven't run a day in your life. That's such a
we
lie.
play all sports.
I hate to say this, but I think Pete Carroll could kick your ass. At
Oh
72.
gosh, no!
So
I'd
the
wipe
Seattle,
his ass.
the Seattle
Wipe his ass at
Seahawks,
anything. I could run the whole stadium stairs. Go ahead.
They 5-2, and they don't really do anything. I've seen them play 2-3 times that impress you. You're like, this team's not very good, and they're 5-2. I mean, they sacked Danny Dimes at one game like 35 times before Danny's been out the last few games, and Geno Smith's playing okay, nothing great, but the team is pretty talented. I mean, you have Metcalf, you have old reliable Tyler Lockett, you got Smith Najigba, and then Charbonnet, who they finally got involved this week. So
Yeah, about time.
I don't think they have a prayer of winning that division because, I'm a big Niners believer, even though they've lost 3 in a row now. So I don't think they're going to win the division, but I definitely think they sneak in the playoffs. I'm going to give them a B. Actually, I'll give them a B plus because I think they're at least a game. They're at least a game better than they should be right now. They kind of stole that game against the Browns, but the defense is making plays and when they have to, getting big sacks and turnovers because they force that turnover at the end of the game, which I have no idea why the Browns were throwing 3rd and 3 with P.J.
Unreal.
Walker, but I would
Heaven's
keep that
defense.
on the ground. But he threw it off a guy's head, went up in the air, and was picked. So, but I think Pete Carroll and the Seahawks are doing a nice job this year. I'll give them a B plus.
I think that's a good grade for them. Now, I will say, looking at their schedule, they'll be lucky over the next 7 games to win 2.
When they
go at Baltimore, and then the one
Loss.
winnable game they've got is 2 weeks from now. They play home against Commanders, and they go at Rams versus 49ers, at Cowboys, at Niners versus the Eagles. So, I mean, brutal schedule.
Brutal stretch,
But for now, I think you almost could even argue they might even be almost an A-. I mean, for them being 5-2, they did steal one for sure against the Browns. I think they stole one at the Lions week 2 as well. So
Yep.
they very well. But, expectation was this team's going to be maybe a wild card team at best. But yeah, they are. They're 5-2, and they're actually somehow ahead of the Niners right now.
5-2 is Pete knows how to draft rookies. Let's go next one. Fifth round,
He's
fourth
got
round,
a good
third round.
Well, the defense is very young, and they're playing really well. I don't
what
think
I mean.
anybody
That's what
expected
I'm
them to
saying.
be that good this quick.
Yeah.
All right.
Moving on to the last grade, and we'll go to a team in the AFC that's been controversial and talked about a lot, and in Los Angeles, and that is the Chargers. Give me a grade on the Chargers.
I'm gonna make this quicker because I like the flow to go fast.
Well, your last one went about 4 minutes.
No, this one's gonna go like 2 minutes. Ready? Staley's gone. It's just a matter of when he's gone, and if they keep him, it's a big mistake. They don't want to put Kellen Moore in there.
He didn't save his job last night with the big win over the
he's
Chicago
gone.
Bears.
No, he's gone. He's basically gone, but I think that probably as the owner, he doesn't want to bring in Kellen Moore because he doesn't think he's any better. So
not.
my shot is Herbert's playing okay. They have injuries all the time on their entire receiver core. You can't tell who's in there. Not a reliable running back. Guy just plays 5 plays, he gets hurt. I'm surprised he made it through the game last night. Eckler, what's his name?
Austin Eckler. He just catches passes. He ran the ball like 17
Guy
times for
can't
30 yards
The
last
guy
night.
can't stay on the field. He needs to do what Christian McCaffrey does. Go get worked out like he's worked
He
his
stayed
body
on
up.
the field yesterday because he was playing Dylan in fantasy football.
That damn straight.
Well-
There's no way you would have been. He scored his second touchdown
right.
of the year only because I was playing against him. Fucking 40-yard run in the first quarter. I mean, just fucking dagger in my heart.
Here's the deal.
I hope Amon-Ra St. Brown does not play tonight. He's got the flu. Amon-Ra, you should sit out tonight for
Well,
sure.
anyway, the team as a whole doesn't believe in their coach. Therefore, if they don't believe in their coach, your grade goes to a D. So I only give them a D. Even for the win, I give them a D. Nothing special. They didn't do anything special. Nothing about them is special.
What's Herbert's grade? If you had to give
C.
Herbert C?
Yeah.
I mean, he hasn't been great, but he's still been pretty.
Nah.
Are you giving him a C for who he is, or are you giving him
gotta-
a C overall, like
you-
as any quarterback would get
I'm
a C?
saying he's getting a C. Kellen Moore's their new offensive coordinator. Don't give him excuses for that.
That makes it harder on him.
Getting beat up constantly. He's a great quarterback. I like him a lot. But right now, I think he's playing at a C level.
No Mike Williams, no offensive
Doesn't
line,
matter.
broken left
Doesn't matter.
finger. I mean, broken ribs. I mean, plays with just no matter. The guy's
No,
a tank.
I love him. I like him a lot. But
He's a
I'm
beast.
saying, as a coaching organization and so forth, that owner doesn't give a shit about.
He needs
that
to
team.
get out
That
of there.
owner doesn't give a shit about anything.
I can't believe they moved from San Diego.
He doesn't give a shit. He's just trying to juice what he's got out of the situation. You got a free rent at the SoFi Stadium. You get free rent, you can do anything. You run an organization. Free rent, everything. Part of concessions you get the ticket
Does he
sales.
really get that?
Yes. So free rent, no. Shoot to Turner, I'm good. I give him a D.
Wait, who gets that?
They get a cut of that. He has no rent at SoFi. That's why he moved him there.
I didn't know
He
that.
has no rent.
Okay.
I know the Rams owner owns it. Do you know that's actually an interesting tidbit here? The Rams owner didn't want to fuck around with all the FIFA demands. They were supposed to SoFi Field was supposed to host a World Cup final, and the owner of the Rams, who owns that, didn't want to give in to all their demands what he'd do at the stadium, so he just told them to fuck off.
You gotta be
so now
shitting
it's in
me.
Jerry's world.
Oh my God, that's crazy.
Jerry's like, hey, we'll host them. Shit, yeah, man. I got.
Well, I'll tell you right now.
what, man.
We'll host them. We'll do them good.
Yeah, we'll do
Let's
real
go.
good.
Do them real good. How about them Cowboys?
How about them Cowboys?
You like them for Super Bowls, don't you? All right, let's go.
All right. Let's move on. That's all of our grades for the NFL teams. I'm gonna give Big Dog the floor to talk about the NFL trade deadline here.
Yeah.
Trade deadline, I think there's going to be probably 3 to 4 major moves. If Tampa Bay, if I'm Tampa Bay, I move off of Baker, I move off of Mike Evans, I move off a ton of those players. I rebuild, I get rid of Todd Bowles. So I look for them to possibly make some moves. I do think the Eagles will make a small move. I don't think the Cowboys will. Don't think the Chiefs will. The main teams won't. I thought the Broncos would, but I don't think that they will. But coming up to the trade deadline, I also thought the Jets, the stupidest organization in the world, would at least go get a quarterback, a decent backup on this trade deadline. I thought it would be Kirk Cousins because then you get rid of him in the end of the year. He's done. So at this,
Achilles tear yesterday.
yeah, and he's done. So at that point, that was the one I would have made. If I was him, I would have made that move. And I need to be a GM because let me tell you something. I
shit.
looked at every team, and I'm going to get a small segment here because I got to roll and go make cash.
Yeah.
That's what I do.
Well, you asked for this, and you asked for 2 more segments
Well,
after
no,
this.
I'll just cut it to one. But
No, I want to hear all 3.
Trade deadline is the fact is the team that needs to make a move that really wants to get to the Super Bowl is the Cowboys. They don't understand they do because Jerry's so stupid. They need to make a move, but they won't. But I look for maybe dumping all the players at the Rams, getting rid of that. Those are my main. And if I was the Jets, I would look for a quarterback because you're not. I don't care if you're 4-3. You're not going anywhere with this kid. It's over. So I think probably the Jets make a move.
What move?
Adding a receiver.
They don't
Adams,
need a receiver.
Well, give away some of your picks. Get Adams.
They don't need a receiver. They're not winning a Super Bowl.
He's throwing to one guy.
Me, why,
he throws to one guy.
Yeah, but if you're the Jets, why would you make a move right now? You're not going anywhere with Zach Wilson. So unless you're going to go get a quarterback, it doesn't make sense to make a move at a receiver or running back. I mean, it's stupid. Or offensive line. At this point, just play for next year and hope Aaron Rodgers makes it back healthy, which is a different story. I will say the team that I think needs to make a move is the Bills. The Bills need to go get some secondary players right now.
They need to get a running back.
They need to get some guys.
And one receiver. They
should
go get Adams.
They lost Tre'Davious White for the year. They lost Matt Milano for the year.
Yes.
That's two massive injuries. And really, if you think about this, with those guys gone, think about this. I heard somebody talk about this, and it's an interesting point. Evaluate the difference right now between the Las Vegas Raiders and the Buffalo Bills as a team. Besides the quarterback position, okay, each team has an elite left tackle. Besides that, the offensive line, very average. Each team has one solid top receiver, right? Diggs, Adams. Besides that, receiving core, I would actually give the edge to the Raiders. I think, is it Jacoby Myers? Yeah,
he's
Jacoby Myers.
He's
I think he's better than Gabe Davis as the second receiver in Buffalo.
Jacoby Myers is playing better than most receivers in the league right now.
You look at the defense. I need him to have a big night tonight for fantasy to have any shot. But you look at the defense, right? Both, Von Miller's not what he used to be. Look, Max Crosby's a menace on the defensive line. I'm just saying, my point is, it's funny when you think about it. Like, everybody sees the Bills as this Super Bowl contender every year. They're really not that. Josh Allen just masks a lot of their issues. But that said, I do think
agree with you on that.
They need to go get some secondary guys, some defensive guys. If they don't do that, there is no way with the team they have now they have any chance to beat the Chiefs. The way the Bengals have looked the last 3 weeks, they don't have any chance to beat the Bengals.
That's another team I would look for. If I'm the Bengals, I go pick up someone.
You need to pick up probably somebody again in the secondary. The offensive line is playing better with
Who do you think?
I think the Bengals are going to be. We talked about it early on. I think they're going to end up being just fine. I think they're going to be.
Well, who would you pick up?
If I was
what team
at the deadline, I would probably.
Saying what team?
If I was the Bills, I would try to do everything I could to shore up the secondary.
Yeah.
And depending on, there's been a lot of rumors, and they're trying to get Derrick Henry. So depending on what it would cost them to get Derrick Henry, and you're trying to win a Super Bowl, if you can shore up the secondary and then you get Derrick Henry in that offense where you actually have to honor the run, I mean, they'll probably win the Super Bowl.
They probably will. Yeah. How on earth are the Titans
Josh
sitting
is
there?
Not gonna win the Super Bowl.
Josh is good enough to win a Super Bowl. How are the Titans that stupid? They come out yesterday or the other day and say, we're not trading Derrick Henry. But you go give away Byers, your best secondary piece, like you're basically going to tank. And
who did they trade him to?
I forget who they gave him to. But I just don't understand.
Huh. That is a weird one.
It just doesn't make.
How many years left does Henry have on his deal?
I think one or two.
One or two.
Yeah,
one.
That would make one more after this one.
I think so.
So yeah, if you're Buffalo, that trade makes a lot of sense if you can get him for the problem is I'm sure the Titans are asking for just something outrageous, but I mean you don't want to have Derrick Henry with all the wear and tear he has for more than 2 years.
I agree with that. Hold on, real quick. Of course, who got Kevin Byard from the Titans? Who traded for him?
The Eagles.
They went and got him.
So I just said,
win. It's just no. It is. You're on that point. You're right. The Eagles go and get people, and the Cowboys sit on their ass.
So the Eagles drafting, like your dad said, have been pretty good. It's the trades that he's made. He's got an A.J. Brown.
Yep.
Who's the other guy in the secondary he traded for?
They got
for pennies on the dollar.
Smart GM.
It was
they just got somebody else.
Smart GM.
The guy from the Titans, and they got somebody else 2 years ago that.
No, I know who you're talking about. It's blanking on me. I can't remember who it was, but no, they make great moves. They don't. Didn't they get James? Was it Bradbury or did they?
Yeah, no, it was Bradbury.
Yeah, James Bradbury. Yeah,
for nothing.
For nothing.
So he's missed on your occasional pick in the draft, like everybody. I mean, listen, the guy they worship this guy, but he drafted Jalen Reagor the pick in front of Justin Jefferson.
Yeah, I know.
That's a pretty big miss.
It's a big miss.
It's the best receiver in the league that you drafted Jalen Reagor in front of the guy. So he's done some stupid shit, but at the right times he does get these trades for great prices, and he gave a lot up for AJ Brown, and people were like, that might have been too much. If you look at what the Titans drafted for AJ, it was Trayvon Burks and somebody else. Like, okay, Eagles got the better end of that.
Titans got screwed on that.
All
right, so what?
AJ Brown changes that offense. They're so much more dynamic.
Oh, yeah, he's amazing. All right, so what?
Okay, anyone else should anyone else make a move right now? I do think the Bengals can go make a move,
yes.
But I don't really know what they need. They have receiver. Their offense is fine. They shored up the O-line. Who's been playing better. It's taken them, 5 weeks to get going, but they're playing better. You don't need a quarterback. You don't need a running back. You don't need a wide receiver. So essentially, you're looking at maybe a defensive move if you're the Bengals. What are the Cowboys? The Cowboys need to go get a cornerback is what they need to go get.
Cowboys need to get a receiver. I think they should get a star receiver.
They don't need a receiver.
I would go get a star receiver.
They need a cornerback.
They need a cornerback.
They're not going to get a great cornerback. Where are you going to get one right now?
Yeah, but you can find, look at the Eagles just went and got the safety.
Denver's not going to give up their quarterback.
No, they're talking about giving up Surtain. Yes, they are.
Jerry's not going for that.
If we went and got Surtain, then we would be a legit contender.
We're not going to get a cornerback. Jerry's convinced that after that game that he's fine. And so, in my opinion, they're not going to get that. And they're not going to get a running back. They're not going to get any. The only thing I think Jerry would probably get, given the beat-up offensive line, is an O-line guy, because now another guy's out. He'll probably get an O-line guy, but he will not make a major trade. I would go get the receiver, Jacoby Myers, from the Raiders. I would trade whoever you have to trade, and I pick that guy up and go to the Super Bowl.
That's another team, though, that I would say should just dump. I mean, it's like you go pay
right.
all this money to a below-average NFL quarterback in Jimmy Garoppolo for what? To be middle of the road? That made no sense. That deal made no sense.
I never understand when people do that.
It's so dumb.
I don't know if it's the GM them trying to be the owner, just
stay relevant,
to stay somewhat relevant. But it's so weird that it's like, but
stuck in limbo.
That's the classic. I mean, think about it. Al Davis would have done that shit. It's Al Davis.
Yeah, he would have.
He would have gone out and be like, "We're gonna go get Devontae Adams, and we're gonna score some points, baby."
Absolutely.
But the rest of the team sucks. So I mean, it's just like
I don't know why you go get Devontae Adams and then you go sign this I don't even know if you could say he's a middling quarterback. I mean, he's bottom 10, Jimmy Garoppolo, and they paid him like $27 million a year to go there. It just makes no sense. I don't get it.
It's a poorly run organization.
It's a poorly run organization, and that's a team who should be dumping players.
They gotta deal Devontae Adams.
Have to.
Trade them.
They probably won't, but they have to.
They can't now.
Well, they have to tomorrow.
You gotta trade him to I'm trying to think who would everybody would want him, but it's just all about the price of getting him. I mean, I would think about, this is a weird one, but I don't know what the Lions would have to give up to get him. But if you put him with Amon-Ra St. Brown on the Lions, those two guys together with the way they run the ball and how good their offensive line is, I mean, you would have to put them up there as, Super Bowl favorites for sure. Because you're getting a top 5 receiver in the league.
They're saying,
and your dad's boy, Jared Goff, is there. I mean,
I cannot pick a bad quarterback ever.
Okay, last thing, the asking price for Surtain from the Broncos
is nuts. I'm sure.
It's 2 first-round picks and a 4th, so I don't think we're going to get him.
No one's getting that.
I don't know why they should just try to get a first-rounder for him at this point.
Well, the thing about it is, I don't think they're ever going to get 2 first-rounders and a 4th, but if you could get him for a 1st and a 3rd and you're the Cowboys, I would do it just for the simple fact because the Cowboys are going to be picking 19th, 20th, and you're not going to get a defensive back that's near that good.
Nope.
And look, the odds of a 3rd round pick being that successful are not great anyway. So you go get him. And I don't know, how long is Gilmore locked up for?
2 years, I think.
2, yeah.
This year and next year, I believe, is it.
So,
he's getting old anyway.
Yeah, my whole point is you could trade. Then you have Diggs and Surtain, and then that defense is
to me, this is your window anyway. If you're Jerry, no offense, but you're about to die. Just
There's
trade your capital.
There's something wrong with him right now. He won't go do what he used to do.
It doesn't make sense.
He could make massive trades right now and go to the Super Bowl. He could trade for Henry and just say, I'm almost dead. I'm going to go make this happen. You trade for Henry, make it happen.
I would rather get Surtain
I'm just saying, Surtain, you could do both. You could do both and you could win. You could trade for Surtain. You could make 3 trades in Dallas and give up a lot and figure it out and be done. And
but he won't.
The next 2 years, we can work with this team and we might make the Super Bowl. Other than that, they won't. They won't match up against the 49ers. They don't match up against the Eagles. They're not even getting out of the division. They're not even getting out. Unless he makes 3 major moves, he's not getting out of the division.
The Eagles have the division locked up anyway. We're just going to be a wild card team.
Not necessarily, because Jalen's a little hurt right now.
Oh, Jalen's not playing good. All right, let's move on. All right, go. All right.
See, I don't need to be set up because I've been in front of cameras my whole life.
Talent.
I've been in front of cameras and on MTV and toured the world. Let's just say it this way. My take is, no, seriously, in these podcasts, I've been watching a lot of podcasts.
Make sure you put this on, Dylan.
Oh, yeah, it's going on.
Oh, yeah, I mean whatever I say.
Yeah.
This shit's nothing to me. I've been doing broad interviews and shit for my whole life. I mean, I come from Hollywood up, God, man, Sunset Strip. I'm just
glory days.
Glory days. Anyways, let's focus, as Nick would say in my office. Anyways, this is my think about it. I was watching these podcasts, and NFL does not allow anybody to have content on their podcast. 0. You can't have any content. And they're controlling all their content. Now the networks are at $300-600 million quarterbacks. They're having to pay astronomical fees to these teams. So the quarterbacks are driving up the market to where I believe ESPN or these shows will be on total subscription. You will have to probably pay for ESPN soon. They want to sell. Disney wants to get rid of it. So number one,
they make too much money for them though.
Well, whatever. And now they're offering divisions of it. So if you look at it, the small shows don't have a chance. Well, that's the NFL's way of squeezing you out. They don't want your shows to be good. They want to control the entire content of the internet. So these podcast shows, they'll have one thing at the bottom, and they won't show any clips. The NBA is more liberal. But my point is that your shows have to have access to some form of clips, a fee you'll pay, something which does promote the league. So my point is...
You think that's going to actually happen?
I'm saying that should be something the smaller shows are doing. They're trying to push out the podcast. My point is, if the smaller shows are to take off, it'd be good to show what you're talking about. So either you have a format for these shows whereby you're just discussing the topics, or you're showing what happens in these plays and so forth. So my point is, things are getting out of control financially. And so, therefore, it's good for the smaller shows, podcast shows, because y'all can go online and look at them. But the bad thing is you have no support from NFL, NBA, or MLB, period. You can't show anything. So so the topics that you talk about have to be extremely interesting for the listener to stay engaged. That's my point. So the control and the money of quarterbacks is literally ruining everything.
I do think if you look at like how a lot of other industries have trended, like the music industry and all those different types of things, streaming services, there might be something coming in some way where the NFL just decides, okay, you pay, it's probably going to be expensive as shit if it even does happen, but okay, you pay a certain amount of money and you're allowed to use the clips on your podcast, like on YouTube. That could be coming. I don't know how long it would take. Of course, I think if anybody did it first, it would be the NBA.
The problem is,
which I did notice. Well, real quick, I did notice when we did our little video podcast before we started this show, and we did a video on the Phoenix Suns. When we got to a certain number of views, YouTube actually took our copyright off of the NBA thing and put ads on our shit, and they were making money off of it. So the NBA there's something on YouTube.
I know,
something on YouTube with NBA where actually can kind of show the clips. I think.
No, that's fine.
Or maybe it's YouTube. Maybe it was just YouTube making money off of us till we were able to monetize.
No, I think you're right. I've heard. So I don't know exactly what the rules and regulations are on that, but I've heard that baseball, and a lot of people gripe about it. Major League Baseball owns the rights to all of it, and like the only way you can basically see it is going through MLB.com, and you can't clip anything or do anything. And I heard that he was saying they should learn from the NBA, who lets people. I think the NBA, you can do anything you essentially want with the clips. I mean, obviously, you probably have to give them, the cop, whatever it may be. But right. I'm just saying, you can, I think, clip NBA stuff. I think NFL and Major League Baseball, you can't.
That makes a lot of sense because I was wondering because when we went to the NFL, we did an NFL video like that. It was like copyrighted, you can't earn a dime, but NBA was allowing us to.
I think NBA you're allowed because and someone was saying these like dinosaur like Major League Baseball and the NFL is like it's such an old school way of thinking because if you're trying to build your brand or do any of that stuff, you want those highlights to be up there.
Yep.
But here's the thing.
You want it as exposed as possible.
Yeah.
Especially for baseball.
And look at the popularity about basketball, though. That's the thing. Like, for example, like kids that collect these, trading cards these days that are worth a fortune, like whatever it may be, basketball is the most popular. And that's the most expensive. But football, you would think it would be football, but it's actually basketball.
And who makes the most money overall? The players in the NBA contracts are the highest. Yeah. It makes sense.
Obviously, smaller rosters. But they do make the most money.
Here's the thing. It's not just that. It's the actual networks. If you're at ESPN working in correspondence with the NFL and Roger, you are not going to want this show showing anything when it comes to clips because you never know. A show can take off on the internet and get more streams and more plays than Stephen A's show or one of these.
But what does it matter for them though? For the NFL, it doesn't. They don't care. Why would they care if our show?
No, ESPN cares and gets pissed off, and they pay the money to the NBA.
ESPN.
Yeah, they're going to get pissed off. They don't want any competition. They are trying to close. ESPN is trying, and now Fox is trying to close out these kinds of shows. Period. They're trying to make it where you can't even upsell them. They don't even acquire them anymore. Normally, if you want something, you go acquire it. You go buy it. You go put them on your network. They're not even doing that. They're saying, go ahead and do what you want, but we're controlling what content you put on. That's my take. I'm a absolute fucking genius. I got to go make money. That's what I do.
Hey, thank you for gracing.
I got to pay for cars.
Thank you for there's like 15 in the driveway out there.
I got things to do right now.
Looks like a fucking rapper's house.
I got rappers in the studio. I got girl singers. I got guy singers. I got people that, and I got to make the cha-ching, the bling bling.
And in case you guys didn't catch it, he's so fucking big time. Lapel mic right here.
I
don't use
this is
these
just
things.
for show.
I don't use these things.
When you're a star, you get one of those.
That's right.
All right, thank you for gracing us with your presence. As fun as that was.
All
right, so Big Dog has left us, and we'll move on. The Spurs got Victor Wembanyama, right? Yep. And I don't know, how much you've gotten to watch, but I will say this: I got to see them play. I saw them play Game 1 and Game 2. I didn't catch the whole game last night. They got stomped by the Clippers. But Game 1 until the end, and Game 2. We're both in San Antonio, and I have not seen the AT&T Center, or whatever it's called now, Frostbank Arena. Frostbank Arena. I have not seen that place rocking since being in attendance at Game 5 of the NBA Finals in 2014 when we took down the Miami Heat to win it all. That place was wild. Wembanyama, at the end of the game, Spurs were down. He has this series where he goes down, he chased down blocks. He challenges Jabari Smith at the rim, stuffs him at the rim, meets him there. Jabari Smith gets the rebound, blocks him again, goes down the other way, scores. Keldon Johnson slamming it home like it looks like a young Russell Westbrook out there. And then Victor ends up not only hitting the game tying shot with about 10 seconds to go. The Spurs get a stop, and in overtime, he hits the first shot on the go-ahead, and they kind of hit Vassell, Keldon, Wemby. They've got a good young core.
They're a fun team to watch. Yeah. Right? They can be a fun team to watch, I think, for sure.
You think they have any potential? I'll pose this question real quick. I think there's excitement around this team for the first time in a long time.
No, for sure.
But in reality, is this team, and obviously they're not a contender this year whatsoever, but I guess my question to you is this. Are they like a Sacramento here where we have some pieces here and it's going to take some time? Or do you think that we need one or two big free agents over the next half decade before we're relevant?
No, I think it's like Sacramento and it's just time. Because I think the other guys are pretty, the surrounding cast, good young core of talent are pretty good. I think we do have to get one more decent piece. But I really do think Wembanyama is going to be the superstar everybody says he is.
He looks like it.
Dude, he's 19 years old, isn't he?
I
mean, what is he?
Yeah, he's 19.
I told you the stats of his team that he played for in France and got second. They finished ahead of one EuroLeague team. They got second in France. And started the year like 0-9 now and have been outscored by like 200 points.
Yeah.
And I think they have relatively the same team. I don't know that for sure, but without him.
Yeah.
So like that team, the Metropolitans finished, I think, second in the league, second or third, made it all the way to the finals in France and lost to Monaco, who usually wins that league. But I mean, he's just, a once-in-a-decade player and going to be a franchise player.
He might even be
just
once in a century player.
Yeah, I mean, it's just all about staying, healthy and
Right.
putting on some weight, putting on some muscle so you don't get as injured, or as injury prone. But I would say the promising thing, and I don't know how tall is Chet Holmgren?
7'3".
Yeah, so he to me, I know he got hurt a little bit, but he's put on some weight, and they've done a really nice job with him in Oklahoma City, making him more filled out and whatever. And I think that's what we'll do with Wembanyama. But he really can. Now, I don't my brother was talking about how disgusted he is with the NBA. He's like, we have Victor Wembanyama, who's 7'5", shooting fucking threes. And I'm like, yeah, it's a good point, right? It's like, that would have never happened in the night. It doesn't matter how good you are.
Stick your ass in the post.
Yeah. So, I mean, he can shoot it, obviously. But yeah, that's the thing, is how sweet his stroke is for being 7'5".
It's insane.
Can really shoot it. He's got all this coordination and get up and down the floor, and it's only going to get better. He's super, super young, super, super raw. So I think we have, with him and the guys around him, in 2-3 years, and we'll have plenty to contend for a title. But it definitely would help getting, one more big piece, which someone will want to come play for him at a discounted rate. You know how it goes.
No doubt.
Someone will be ring chasing.
That Rockets game, he had 21, 12, and 3 blocks, 2 steals, and an assist. I mean, he's just a monster all over
the place.
He's Giannis, but he can shoot. Now, he's not as strong as Giannis, but if you look at what Giannis was when he came in the league, it was about the same type of stature. I mean, he's thin, he was skinny.
Yeah.
Questions about injuries. Nobody really thought he was like the 14th pick. He wasn't drafted nearly as high.
I don't think anybody expected Giannis to fill out quite the way he did.
No,
now
he didn't.
He's just a human wreck. I mean, there's no way to stop him. Just get out of the way or foul him.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't do anything.
There's nothing
with
you
him.
can do. And now,
but yeah, I mean, Wemby at this point is still, just right now, a far, far better shooter than
way better. And he hadn't shot it great in the first 2 games from 3. I think he's shooting about 24%. I mean, very small sample size.
I will say that I would and I get it, he's filling it out and just do whatever. It's not like the Spurs are winning anything, but get your feet underneath you and do whatever. But I could go for him shooting maybe 3 to 4 threes a game. I don't want him shooting more threes.
No, I agree.
I mean, it's just, here's the thing. He's a good 3-point, he's a fine 3-point shooter.
Right.
But when it comes to the rest of the league, he's still a below average 3-point shooter, right?
And until I see him shooting 37% from 3 consistently, I don't want him shooting that many, because my issue with it isn't the fact that he's shooting the threes. It's that he's away from the basket when the shot goes up. Anyone else shoots the ball and he's near the basket, that's got to be a 30% chance the ball's going to go into his hands, because he's so damn big and long. So it's to me, you take him away from the basket all that. He's driving to the rim and scoring in the paint. I think in the preseason a couple times they showed he was 90% in the paint. It's just you can't stop him around the rim. It's like Giannis. So
yeah, I think he was one game he was 9 out of 10 on 2-pointers, and then he was 1 of 3 from 3.
Right, it's fine.
If you're wide open, I guess shoot it, but, and like I said, this is just a year to learn and do whatever and figure out what you're going to be, but I would limit the threes. And
I think the respect factor, not necessarily that you shoot a ton, but that you have the threat of hitting them, just makes it so much harder to guard you.
For sure.
So that's the important part for him. Less so about making 4 threes a game. It's, can you knock down 3? Can you knock down 2 out of 4 if you're wide open? If you can, you got to be respected out there, and there's just no way to guard you.
And I haven't seen it, but I assume defenses are pretty much saying they're giving, although he's a better shooter than Giannis, they're pretty much giving him the Giannis treatment, saying, go ahead and shoot a 3, because that's our best percentage of you not scoring is shooting that.
I think I think whenever he doesn't have the ball, if he's on the perimeter, people have sagged more.
Yeah.
If he has the ball, they're not as far off of Giannis from what I've seen, mostly because I think he's not ready to just blow by anybody just yet. I mean, he can, but he's not like Giannis where it's just oh, you're fucked.
Yeah.
But I do think you're right. I think they're going to play him very similar and just say, well, if you're going to make 5 threes against us, then so be it, but you're not going to beat us at the rim. It's hard to do that in the NBA with the way defense is called and the way fouls are called, but I agree that's probably how he's going to be played. Regardless, it's exciting to watch. I'm like excited now. Like for the last 5 years, it's just been so boring. I'm excited to watch the Spurs play every night, win or lose, just to see
I'll
them
give
play.
you credit. You would still watch some of the games and they were horrible. I was a fair weather fan that's just like my whole thing is I'd rather watch college basketball.
Oh, I would too.
So I've never really been. Now, obviously, growing up with Duncan and Ginobili is my favorite player of all time. Parker, all those guys like obviously loved the Spurs and watched it, but basketball is played so much different now, 10 years later. There's not a lot of physicality in the game at all.
Yep.
The final scores are 137 to 130, and the game didn't even go to overtime. It's just like, what are we doing here?
I missed the 78 to 81 games.
Exactly.
Those were fun.
I mean, and people, I guess I'm in the minority that, don't like that because I've talked to people that, are associated with the league. Like, no, people like points and they want to see this. And I'm like, I guess, man. But my whole thing is
viewership on the NBA is down since they've done that. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, but my whole thing is I actually don't mind the high scoring. I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
I hate the shooting 90 free throws a game.
Yeah.
That's what I don't want to see.
Yeah.
So if they officiated the game where James Harden is shooting 22 free throws and throwing his head back and throwing his arms up, that's fine. I don't care if, you're running and gunning and scoring points, but I don't want to sit there and see guys shoot fucking free throws.
So fucking annoying. You're 100% right.
Yeah.
James Harden shooting 20 free throws a game ruined the fucking NBA for me. And it's why I stopped watching. In all honesty, I used to watch way more NBA games. I used to get the league pass every year.
Yeah, I remember
and I would
that.
watch the games. But I used to love watching Russell Westbrook play every game. But James Harden ruined basketball for me.
The bearded monster.
The bearded monster
Your dad's
ruined
favorite
it.
player.
And of course, he's done nothing but ruin the NBA because he's never even won a championship for all the bullshit he did. But
That's right.
yeah, that's just disgusting. But the Spurs are exciting, and I'm excited to watch them over the next couple years. Not a fan of the GM, not a fan of Pop anymore, but it's hard to fuck up what you got there.
It's brought life back to the city.
It has.
It was one of those deals where it was like, okay, the Spurs, this and that and the other. Are they going to move to Austin? And maybe that's happening 5 years down the line. Now it's like, all right, where are we building our new stadium downtown?
I know.
It's gone 0 to 60 real quick. How everybody's back on the Spurs, which is great.
All right, moving on real quick to the NFL, and we'll do our NFL picks really quickly.
It's time for NFL Pick'em, brought to you by The Beard Pen.
Titans at the Steelers on Thursday night.
Jeez, is Pickett?
Pickett, I think, is out. I think it was a serious injury, but I could be wrong.
I honestly think they're better. This is crazy to say, but I actually think they're better with Trubisky, which is really weird. I just don't think Pickett's that good. And he's okay, but the thing you get with Mitchell Trubisky is he can kind of run around.
Yeah.
And, I'm going to take – we've talked about the Titans being a different team on the road. I'm going to take the Steelers.
Oh, man, I like that pick. We're on the same wavelength in the
Steelers by
NFL.
3.
Yeah, I'll take the Steelers. I'll change my number because I think that everybody's going to be on the Titans with Pickett out and with the way Levis played, and give me the Steelers in an ugly game by 1. Somehow they win by 1. Dolphins at the Chiefs. I think this one is in Germany. Frankfurt.
Yep. Andy Reid said he was looking forward to a nice beer and brat over there in Frankfurt. I will say... Oh, man, that's going to be tough for Mahomes with the flu that's got to fly. I mean, I wonder if they're going to get there early. I wonder what they're, if we could figure out who was getting there Monday or who's flying in right before the game, because that definitely matters in those. I'll take the, the Dolphins are going to win this game by a field goal.
Think so?
Not really, but,
I'm picking them, though.
I'm picking them, though. I mean, this feels to me like Kansas City. The offense, I think, they obviously played. Mahomes had the flu, bad weather, whatever.
Right.
But to me, I just think that the Dolphins are going to make 1 or 2 more explosive plays with Tyreek, and I just think that they can score points easier than the Chiefs at this point. Chiefs, they're going to, dink and dump, and, Kelsey's going to get involved. Not to mention, I hear there's a lot of Kelsey-Taylor Swift drama going on right now. You got to fly to Frankfurt.
Well, they're saying if she's not there, he doesn't play as good. Is that the drama?
Well, but then, why was she not there? There's people talking. We don't know what's going on. Yeah.
Like they might be broken up already?
I don't know. Let's just, yep.
For my fantasy team's sake, Taylor, will you please
stay with her,
fucking
Taylor, please.
show up? Jesus Christ.
I'm trying to stay out of the toilet bowl in one league. I got Kelsey.
Give me like I said, I still think the Chiefs defense is good, and the Dolphins, until they beat a good team, a physical good defense with Tua, I can't take them. Give me the Chiefs by 7. Vikings at the Falcons on Sunday.
I guess the Falcons because Cousins isn't playing.
Give me Falcons too. Desmond Ridder, they say it was for precaution that he got pulled. I don't buy it. I think they pulled him and put Heineke in because Ritter's horrible, and they should stick with Heineke. If they do, they win.
Heineke's my guy.
Heineke's much better than Ridder. Give me the Falcons by a field goal. They're at home. Falcons by a touchdown.
Yeah, 7.
By 7. Browns at home. This is a big game for them. They were 4-2, play away from being 5-2. They're playing the Cardinals at home. I don't know if Watson plays. I think he will this week, but we'll see.
Browns by 7.
Browns by 10. Rams at the Packers. Packers probably season is over at this point.
Rams by 3.
Why are the Packers favored here?
It seems like a spot that the Packers are going to somehow win.
Why are the Packers favored here?
Rams. Oh, because Stafford's hurt.
Oh, they don't know if Stafford.
Yeah.
If Stafford doesn't play, I'll still pick the Rams. Give me the Rams by 7. That's how bad Jordan Love is. Here's the ugliest game of the week. Commanders at the Patriots.
I'm gonna take the Patriots by 3.
I was gonna do the same thing.
Patriots by 3. I just think that after that loss to the tough loss to the Eagles, where you're winning most of that game, and it's just back and forth. It's just a tough spot to go up to New England and win after that.
Tough spot, and Bill's going to have something for Sam Howell. Like, Sam Howell's going to struggle in this game. Whatever his player prop is for the number on passing yards, I take the under. Interceptions, I take the over. I think he has a struggle city game. Belichick finds a way to shut him down. Bears at the Saints. Saints for me, too.
10.
How much?
Oh, actually, 14.
14. Give me the Saints by 10. I like that pick. Seahawks at the Ravens.
Ravens by 13.
Yeah, I agree. I think Ravens by 11.
Yeah.
Like, this is a game where they just kill them somehow. Seahawks are due for a loss. Buccaneers at the Texans.
Texans on a last-second field goal.
I think the Texans came back down to earth this week, and the Bucks need a win. I'm going to take the Bucks in an upset here.
The Texans are favored?
Yeah, they're favored by 3.
That's crazy.
But give me the field goal win for the Bucks. Colts at the Panthers afternoon game. What a great game,
dude. I'm gonna say the Panthers win by a field goal, win 2 in a row.
Yeah, I think the Panthers.
The Colts
are terrible.
I don't know what the fuck they're doing. You watch their games and they're always up early, and the next thing you know, they're down 14 points, and I'm like, their defense must be so bad.
Yeah, I'm done with the Colts. Every time I can't figure them out.
And I like Minshew just because I like the Minshew's the character
mustache.
But
he's thrown for 1,400 yards, but he seems to turn the ball over too much.
He holds on to it too long. Gets sacked.
Lots of sack fumbles, and he's thrown 5 picks. Give me the Panthers by 7. Giants at the Raiders. Raiders still have. We don't know what the outcome of the game tonight is, but they're playing tonight against the Lions.
Give me the Giants are going to win that game by a field goal.
Giants have been playing better.
Well, it also depends. Is Tyrod Taylor hurt? I mean, if they start DeVito, I'll take the Raiders.
Okay, we can use. I think no. I think Dan Jones is supposed to be back this week.
Then I will take Danny Dimes and the Giants.
Yeah, give me the Giants as well. The Raiders are a dumpster fire. Here's the game of the week. The Cowboys going to Philadelphia.
You know what's weird? I actually think the Cowboys are going to win this game, and I don't know why. I'm just not a Cowboys homer
Are you going to do it?
Yeah, I'm going to pick the Cowboys.
Oh, man, I was hoping you picked the Eagles because I'm definitely taking the Cowboys. Here is Dak Big Ball Prescott walking into Philly and taking down the Eagles, baby. They're going to win by 2 touchdowns.
No shot.
14.
Maybe by a field goal.
By 14. Jalen Hurts throws 4 interceptions. 3 of them to Gilmore. No, actually, that's all bullshit. The Cowboys will win, though. The Cowboys are going to win by 10 somehow.
Just weird. I think they may win. The Eagles are due for a loss.
Yeah, they're definitely due for a loss. But Bills at the Bengals on Sunday night. We're getting some good games this week, finally.
Bills, Bengals. Give me the Bengals are going to win that game. They're red hot.
They're
Bengals
red
by
hot.
7.
How can you not take Cool Joe in this spot? Give me Cool Joe. They're going to win by 10. Last one, Monday night game. Actually going to be a good matchup, even though it's not the most interesting. Chargers at the Jets. Jets 4-3, trying to get to 5-3.
Ooh, this is the game. This is the game that the Chargers lose by
100%.
Jets by a field goal.
Jets by a field goal, and they fire Brandon Staley after the game.
Definitely. It's definitely gonna happen.
That's what I think. But
Definitely gonna happen.
that wraps up. We got Broncos, Lions, 49ers, and Jags on the bye this week. We're going to be back next week with more NBA as we start to get into the swing of things. Maybe a college basketball preview. NBA, yeah. Dude, I don't know why people find it interesting, but I guess we got to talk about it. Thanks for tuning in. Please like and subscribe to the channel. We've got some cool things coming up. We're redoing a new set right now, which will be out soon. We've been putting a lot of time and effort into this, so more subscribes and likes and comments really help us out. Also, going to be doing some giveaways soon for San Antonio gift cards for people who watch locally and a few other things. So make sure you stick around and check. Follow us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram, on Twitter, or X or whatever you call it nowadays. TikTok, everything is at SlobPod, at SLOBPOD. I'll put my Twitter. I don't think you have Twitter or Instagram, do you?
Oh, no.
Well, the Swami needs to get it. So I'll be putting Turner's eventually when I make him his own. I'm going to make him his own social media profile. But I'm going to put all of that linked in the description below. Thanks for tuning in. Have a great week. Good luck with Monday Night Football and all your games in fantasy football and DFS and wagering this week.